Well, welcome to the potentially final episode of the Pengy's podcast. We've had an amazing season so far. We've had some various talks on various topics. We've talked about our first games, we've talked about some Souls-likes, some cozy games. And we've all had a pleasant time. I've had some fantastic guests on here. We've had Cozy Witch, we've had the lovely Nikki. And just because I haven't said one of the names doesn't mean I don't appreciate it, because every single person that has been here has been fantastic. I've really enjoyed myself, and I hope you guys have too. However, for this episode, we are doing things just a little differently, because this is going to be essentially our yearly wrap-up. So we gathered various members from the community among the TYG space, and we have got them all together for our yearly wrap-up. We've all played a lot of games, we've all watched a lot of films, we've all done a lot of things. So I decided that it would probably be a good idea to just have our own little yearly wrap-up, you know? I'm sure we've all seen our own already, you know, through PlayStation and Xbox and Steam, what we've played the most of, but this covers more than that. We've asked these questions, and so yeah, sit back and enjoy. So first and foremost, question one. What was your highlight of the year, media-wise? Be it a game, film, or even a show?
So my highlight of the year, game-wise, would have to be Sea of Stars. I've been waiting for that game since it was announced a couple of years ago. I bought my Switch just to get this game. So yeah, definitely Sea of Stars. It gave me everything that I expected and more. It made me cry. TV show, anime. I would say Demon Slayer. Like the last season of Demon Slayer that came out this year was so good. I cannot wait for next year, for the next season. Also made me cry. Very good. Good times.
The highlight of my year was definitely The Legend of Heroes Trails into Reverie. And honestly, it was really difficult for me to not put this for my answer for every single one of these questions, apart from the last one, because it was my 10 out of 10 game of the year. I cried, I laughed, I screamed at my television, and I did that regardless of where I was in the story. It's a turn-based combat, so it was nice and relaxing, but equally the plot was the most intense thing I have played in so long that it'll be very difficult to top it. And honestly, I'm looking forward to seeing what they do in the next game.
I haven't consumed a whole lot of media this year, but I've got to say, Game of the Year, for me, has to be Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Future Redeemed DLC. My God. It's a DLC, but it's an entire full story on its own. You could have that as a standalone game. It's phenomenal, and I highly recommend anyone who's played Xenoblade 3 to get and play that DLC. As for the likes of anime, it's got to be Bleach, the 1,000-Year Blood War. We have had a lot of really incredible anime come out this year, but for me personally, Bleach is at the top. The animation, the story, the music, my God, all around truly phenomenal, honestly, and I can't wait for the next part. If we're going to talk live action, however, there may be some recency bias, but it's also incredibly good. And that is the Netflix Yu Yu Hakusho adaptation. It's amazing. I went in thinking, and it blew me away with how good it is.
My highlight, game-wise, is Baldur's Gate 3. I don't know what I can say about it outside of my review, but there are some games that truly are deserving of the hype. It's phenomenal. It looks great. It plays great. I've put so many hours into it now. But for movies, I haven't really watched a lot of movies that came out this year. But I would, for me, highlight would be again, it's Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Amongst Thieves. I went into that expecting very little. I was expecting another, disaster that we got in, I think, 2000. But it was well researched. It was obviously made by fans, and it was truly a joy to watch.
My game highlight of the year is going to be Like a Dragon Ishin. Every minute I had with that game, I just enjoyed it. Movies, I'm going to say Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Almost forgot that came out this year. It seems a while ago. And for a series, I'm going to go with Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. Snuck in right at the end.
Well, I guess I could say probably what a lot of other people would say of like the full release of Baldur's Gate, but really, I guess for like, like that lightning in a bottle kind of just boom out of nowhere hit, Lethal Company. I don't think anything's given me the laughs and just the general experience that Lethal Company has given me so far. It's kind of like at the point that Phasmophobia was when that was released. Like, yeah, you won't hear it mentioned in any Game of the Year award, but it will be everywhere. It will be all over Twitch, it'll be all over YouTube for months next, maybe even years.
I think personally for myself, it's kind of a close tie between Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which was out in May, and then we had Spider-Man 2 on the PS5 towards the end of the year. I would probably give it to Tears of the Kingdom, I would have to say, in my honest opinion. Just from the depth of gameplay, the Splatoon engine is fantastic, and all that running on the Switch and having it portable is pretty freaking cool.
Although it may not be new media for this year, it's definitely new media for me. Because I started my Dark Souls journey this year, so it was all completely new and fresh for me. And that would probably be Sekiro. Hands down, Sekiro is probably one of the most artistic and beautiful games I've played this year. Granted, like most of the Dark Souls had something about it, whether it be like the rolling pillars of Anor Londo, or for instance like the any swamp within like FromSoft, but Sekiro had a special artistic and artisanian quality within its combat, and that to me like really stood out, and it really like showed me the beauty within a FromSoft parry system and just how absolutely gorgeous it is.
My highlight of the year was a one-off event in London over the summer. It was AEW All in London. 81,000 wrestling fans crammed into Wembley Stadium, watching some incredible wrestling and being part of history. And I was lucky enough to be there with a bunch of my favourite people and enjoy it live, which was an incredible experience for all of us.
For myself, highlight of the year was definitely Lies of P. I think I played the demo, it absolutely got me hooked. When the game actually released, I really enjoyed it. I think it is a fresh take on the Souls formula. It's almost as polished actual Souls games. The way it told the story, I thought was actually really good. It's quite a fresh way. It's not quite obscure. Has some really wonderful characters. Yes, it had some issues with the combat, but I think generally on a whole, it was a very polished bit of story, a better game, and I fully recommend it to anyone.
My personal highlight of the year was definitely Tears of the Kingdom. As a massive Zelda fan, it improved on Breath of the Wild in every way, shape and form. And if anything, it just makes Breath of the Wild look like a tech demo. Fantastic time. Loved every minute of it. In your opinion, what would you say was the biggest letdown of the year for you?
The biggest letdown of the year for me was Fae Farm, which came out in September. There was so much hype about it. I was hyped for it. I was like, yes, we've got another farming sim, but it's cute. It's got little fays in it. It's adorable. And yeah, I got it on the day that it was released. And I played 30 hours of it and just kind of felt that, like, yes, obviously I knew it was another farming sim with lots of other cute little things, pretty much like Stardew Valley, but with wings and adorableness. But I don't know, it didn't captivate me like I wanted it to. It felt incredibly repetitive. I was doing lots and lots of grinding for materials to be able to progress further in the story. And yeah, it 30 hours in and I was just kind of like, yep, I'm done. Next game. Let's move on. Yeah, definitely Fae Farm.
My biggest letdown for the year is probably Lockwood and Co. because it got cancelled after one series, and I was really interested in it. I love young adult sci-fi investigation things, and it was very much fantasy, ghost, Doctor Who, all like mixed into one, and I really enjoyed it. I was really gutted it got cancelled. So really, the biggest letdown for me this year is Netflix cancelling things. Netflix, stop cancelling things, please.
I haven't personally played or watched anything this year that's particularly let me down. I think what's let me down more so than anything is the way that, in particular, Activision Blizzard has been running everything lately. They've been acquired by Xbox now, by Microsoft. Hopefully this will start to introduce some changes, but I think that the gaming industry at large needs change from these sort of people running it and the way they abuse their positions of power.
Letdown of the year. Oh boy, I have a few, but I could easily say Starfield. I went into that expecting low and still got disappointed. But I think I'm just going to say Marvel cinema and TV as a whole. That it's just become so dull and cookie cutter. And outside of a few exceptions, that they're not. It's just become a disappointment. I am still the biggest Marvel fanboy I think in TYG, but I'm bored of everything at the moment. So yeah, for me it's Marvel, then the TVs and the shows.
For letdowns this year, not much really sticks out. I really didn't jive with Final Fantasy 16 though. Just seemed to drag on too long. And I guess Ant-Man Quantumania this year wasn't quite what I wanted it to be, but fun enough.
My views on this will probably line up with a bunch of people, but I would say, like, Starfield. I always loved Bethesda games, and the thought of one in space was like, well, no, I was actually pretty hyped for, and then I tried a little on release, and just, no, it didn't work for me. It felt like empty and soulless, and then I just dropped off, as like I'm sure a lot of people did. Like, it's just not a talking point now. It became forgotten about so quickly. I mean, you could blame that on Baldur's Gate 3 and the way it kind of captured everyone who was interested in RPGs and dragged them in like it was a black hole. But at the same time, Starfield just wasn't worth the hype.
And I'll probably cop a lot of flack for this. But I'm still sticking with it. It's Final Fantasy 16. For anyone that hasn't played it, for spoilers, that ending was stupid. The technical errors were just horrible compared to the price of the game when it came out. The story felt like it was ripped off of Game of Thrones. And yeah, FF16 was just a big letdown for me this year. I hope the DLC has something better in store.
The biggest letdown of within gaming this year, that person would be Modern Warfare 3. The main reason being for that was because the Modern Warfare series is a massive part of my childhood. Like teenage, growing up, it was always Modern Warfare. I've played the campaign multiple times. I've done the campaign on each Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3. On veteran difficulty. Like, I loved the story. Absolutely adored it. For them to, twist and change it in such a way where, the new one's a 3 or 4 hour campaign. That's not a campaign. That's a side mission. Come on. It's annoying because, the old school Modern Warfare was what gave Call of Duty its name. That's what really put it on the map. And then for them to, 10 years later, for them to turn around and do this, personally, it's a disgrace.
The biggest letdown of the year, I would say, is the Secret Invasion TV show. Apparently it was plagued by a lot of issues behind the scenes, which, then showed up on the screen itself. But really, how can you go wrong with Samuel L. Jackson, works with shape-shifting aliens to save the world? Yeah, there has to be some issues for that not to work.
For myself, I think would be the Silent Hill... Is it Silent Hill Ascension? The ongoing live series. It was not what I expected when I heard about it. I expected it to be a kind of like a one-off thing if people could watch. I didn't expect it to be a kind of thing. I was not expecting it to be a live service, but I was not expecting, seasons and, DLC, battle passes. I was not expecting that. I honestly was not expecting, for me, it's kind of soured the kind of what I expect is going to happen with Silent Hill 2. It's kind of turned that kind of excitement away, and it kind of just made me feel a little bit worried about how Capcom and everyone else is going to approach the rest of the Silent Hill series.
The biggest letdown of the year for me was definitely Cry Machina. It looked like it was going to be a deeper, more anime near Automata. It wasn't. It was mostly visual novel. There was a little bit of combat in it, but again, it was just mostly visual novel, and I did not enjoy that aspect of it. The story's good, and the feeling hits that are good. It's just, there's too much reading, and it's just all visual novel. Mostly, not all. It's mostly visual novel, very little combat. Bit of a bummer. Looking more into the more underrated side of media, what would you consider to be an underrated gem that should really have more love?
My underrated gem of the year has to be The Legend of Heroes, Trails into Reverie. I'm sorry, it has to be. Everybody needs to just play these games. If you like turn-based games, if you like RPGs, if you like character development, political, just everything. And there's mechas and waifus and fan service, and I cannot stress how much I love these games, and everyone needs to play them. Please, just play them, please.
There's one very in particular which comes to mind when it comes to games. And that is Kagura Survivors, which is... It has no right being as good as it is. It was an April Fool's joke made by Kagura Games, who, let's be clear here, predominantly create adult video game content. And for April Fools, they created their own Vampire Survivors knockoff, and it has no business being as actually good as it is. Honestly, the core gameplay loop and everything surrounding that game is just so good for being free. Anime-wise, probably going to get a little bit pushback on this one. But the legendary hero is dead. It's not the best thing in the world, but it's certainly by no means the worst. It's quite an enjoyable time. Everyone in it is so stupid. Everybody. It's quite a well thought out world and quite well built up. There's a lot of potential there.
Sea of Stars, Sea of Stars, Sea of Stars. That game is, in my opinion, an underrated gem. It got released in between Baldur's Gate and Starfield, so it got overshadowed by two of the big RPGs, but it is a glorious, glorious triumph of indie game development. Go check it out if you haven't. Please do. Sea of Stars.
I had some trouble thinking of my hidden gems because some of them might even outstrip my highlights. But for games, I'm going with Marvel's Midnight Suns. Didn't get enough love for what it was, really. And movie Nimona. Animations up there with things like the Spider-Verse. But again, just quietly slipped out on Netflix. And then for a series, I'd say Star Trek Lower Decks. It's got a couple of series under its belt now, and it's surprisingly good.
These are really hard for me to pick because I play so many odd indie games. Smooshy Comes Home comes to mind. It's a really cozy, cute little collectathon-ish, fun 3D platformer. Very cozy, very nice, very chill time. You play like a little mushroom guy, and he's so cute. And you kind of hand glide around and climb up stuff and interact with residents on your way trying to get home.
I would say probably this year from a gaming perspective, again, it would be 2. And that would be a tie between Forza Motorsport, again, started to a rocky start, which is unfortunate, and it is a racing game, so not everybody's cup of tea. And probably the second mirrored, same sort of thing, would be City Skylines 2. After they've done all the patchwork and get the geometry running a little bit better, It's actually really addictive. I can easily lose 6 or 8 hours on that game. And it's free on Game Pass, so that's pretty friggin' cool too.
Personally, it might not be like underrated, definitely, but it's starting to make waves now. As the full game had got released, I think it was what, the 13th of December. Was Ready or Not. Because I've been playing Ready or Not for a while, and it's only just come out of alpha, which is basically a SWAT tactical shooter. But that's kind of not what breaks it apart. It's the AI's intelligence and just how tactical you've got to be. It's better with, like, you know, other people to play it with. It's a game that you really have to have, like, you know, situational awareness of. And I personally think that, like, you know, a lot of people that play like shooters would definitely enjoy a game like that. A game that, like, you know, every single mission is different for a plethora of different reasons.
My underrated gem that deserves more love. I know that they are very popular, but I don't know any people, a lot of people personally who love them. Watcher Entertainment, it's a YouTube channel. A bunch of guys who used to work for BuzzFeed started their own company, made their own content, and it is fantastic. So if you like paranormal stuff, mystery stuff, history, with humor and entertainment and people occasionally getting drunk, then it's probably a good channel for you.
The problem is, I think a lot of the games I've been playing or like media consuming has been quite popular, especially to like niche circles, and nothing really I've really been saying to people that have been kind of like say, oh, I should play this or you should check this out. There's one thing I do think that I think people haven't played that they should definitely check out or maybe watch. I think for me is Alice in Borderland on Netflix. It is based on the live adaptation of a manga series. Absolutely amazing, wonderful character development, wonderful story. Not going to spoil anything, so I don't want to go anything too much, but I do think it's an absolutely amazing story. I think everyone should definitely check it out if you have access to it.
Underrated gem for this year has got to go to Batora. I assumed it was just going to be another top-down dungeon crawler kind of game, but it plays more like Darksiders Genesis did, and I really enjoyed that. You know, it definitely sort of came out of nowhere, and I slept on it, and then as soon as I started playing, I'm like, you know, this is actually a really good time. If you like Darksiders Genesis with the isometric top down, you can change your skills up with your little skill slots and relics and all that jazz. You are very limited with your attacks, but your skill relics will actually change those things. And yeah, it's definitely a game worth giving a look up. And finally, what piece of media that is upcoming next year that you are looking forward to? Again, this can be, as with all the other questions, it can be a film, game, or a TV show. What are you looking forward to?
Well, I don't think this is going to surprise anybody, but Final Fantasy Rebirth, really looking forward to that. I'm really excited to see how, you know, where the game is going to go. Yeah, definitely. Rebirth. Yep. And also, as I mentioned in my highlight of the year, I'm really looking forward to the next season of Demon Slayer. Yeah, I think they're mainly the only things that I can think of at the minute that I'm looking forward to. Definitely Final Fantasy hype, but you know me, it's Final Fantasy. Yes!
The thing that I'm looking forward to coming up in the next year is Yeast 10 or YS10 as we see it on the paper. Adol Kristen is one of the last standing silent protagonists, and I will die on any hill for him. He is awesome as a character. It's also another Falcom game who do The Legend of Heroes. So you know I'm going to be looking forward to that. There is also another addition to The Legend of Heroes, which is coming next year, and I'm really excited for that. So yeah, thanks Falcom. You've dominated my listings. Thank you very much for every single review I have done of a Falcom and Nisa game, because yeah, I've enjoyed every single minute of them, and I'm looking forward to them in the future.
Next year's got a lot of good stuff coming. I mean, I'm gonna have to be real here. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Come on, I've got that on pre-order with the statue and everything. I pre-ordered that the day the pre-orders went live. I am so excited for that game. As for anime, well, I already mentioned it earlier, Bleach. We're getting the next part of Bleach next year, and I'm very, very excited for that. But also, while that is 100% true, I want to call a quick bit of attention to something lesser known which is coming out next year, and that is Kimi ni Todoke Season 3. A decade after Season 2 came out, Netflix is reviving the series, and we're getting a Season 3. I don't know a whole lot about it at the moment, but I am so excited to see what they do with it, because I thoroughly love that manga. So to see more of it animated, if it's anywhere near as the quality of the first 2 seasons, I am going to be eating good, and so will you.
Next year, I am looking forward to Dragon's Dogma 2. I'm a massive fan of the original. Again, a game I think it gets underrated. I think a lot of people try it and get confused by it, but I absolutely adore it. So I'm thoroughly looking forward to seeing what they do with the sequel of that. Movie-wise, because I watched the first part this year, I'm looking forward now to Dune Part 2. Yeah, I can't wait to see what they do with that, because I'm a fan of the David Lynch original, and I watched the sci-fi series 2000s. But yeah, I was thoroughly impressed with what they did with it, and I can't wait to see more.
I'm looking forward to Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth in the new year. And then after that, I'll see what comes.
I feel like what is going to be the thing I look forward to the most is going to wind up being massively disappointing, because there's already been signs of development hell for years now. So it's going to be one of those ones again that's never going to be able to deliver, and has been changed so many times, and there's so much stuff gone off behind the scenes that it winds up being not what you want or what you expect. And that is Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. And I hope I'm proved wrong about this, because the first Bloodlines and the Vampire the Masquerade universe, utterly love. So I am very excited to see it finally released. And I do hope it does well. I hope it is everything that we've wanted.
I'm really easily going to go with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It looks incredible from the trailers. The first one and the DLC with Intergrade was fantastic. I'm personally a huge Final Fantasy VII fan. So seeing Rebirth, getting to go to Junon and see Calm and all that, and see if the story changes with Aerith, holy hell, that will blow my mind.
The piece of media that I'm looking forward to being released next year is, sorry Scruff, but it is Snufkin Melody of Moomin Valley. I'm really looking forward to it. It looks like an incredibly cute game. There is a demo out there at the moment, which I haven't had a chance to play, but I'm excited to give it a try.
Now, I was going to mention Silent Hill 2, the re-release, because that is rumoured to be coming out next year, but we don't have any firm release dates on that. For myself, it is going to be Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree DLC that is going to be dropping. Now, I haven't jumped back into Elden Ring since I first completed it, and I'm looking forward to it being released, because I think that's going to help me drop me back into the series. I found Elden Ring quite overwhelmed the first time I played it, and I'm hoping that when the DLC drops, it kind of, hopefully it fixes some of the issues that I had with the series, it being too big to focus on where you need to go, hard to find, hard to work out, and also a lot of boss repetition and things like that. So
I genuinely can't think of what games are coming out next year. The only one that springs to mind is Dragon's Dogma 2. So I guess that's my answer, because I really enjoyed Dragon's Dogma 1. I think I've bought it 3 times over different systems. And next year, Dragon's Dogma 2 is coming. I can't wait. It's got to be the game, man. It's got to be it. I'm hoping it's going to be so good. If it's not good, then, you know, I will, I guess. But Dragon's Dogma 1 is, in its own right, an underrated gem. So fingers crossed the second one's going to go there with that as well. A big thank you to everyone who answered these questions for us today. We've had some fantastic answers. We've had some fantastic people on the show. And we've got some fantastic projects in the works that are coming along. You can catch nearly, if not all, people we have had on Twitch throughout the entirety of the podcast. Not just today, but the entirety of the podcast. Everyone we've ever had has generally been a Twitch star. And now they're a podcast star. So now let's look forward to what's coming next year. And maybe a season 2, that depends on demand. But for now, anyway, I have been Angry Penguin J, or Pengy as I'm more commonly referred to these days. This has been our yearly wrap up of our personal games, and I hope you all have a fantastic end of the year, and let's look forward to 2024. So long, everyone, and look after yourselves. Also, don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe. Also, share it with your friends and your cat and your pets.
I can make these guys say anything, so don't worry.
And I can't believe it's Ronald McDonald's fault. That bums me out.
Welcome, everyone. To what?
You have to like kind of like wet your fingers first to get it open.
Scruff, what are you on about?
Movies. Blah 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 blah.
Excuse me, sorry, I swore then, didn't I?
You did about 4 times already, but damn you, Cloud!
What's better than coming to completion?
I think I've just lost some IQ points just looking at the cover art.
It gets worse. We've already had 8 fantastic episodes with some fantastic guests. It's not 8, it's 10. It's 10. Yeah. Good.
All I need is a couple of inflections of you saying that is wild.
That is wild. That is wild.
That is wild. That is wild. Look at that. That is wild.
I'm really looking forward to Like a Dragon.
We'll cut this bit out.
No, that was the first one that I realised. Apologies.
Don't we all wish we were in clouds?
You guys have already got enough stuff on me. You don't need any more, man.
Hey.
So yeah, chat, what do you think? Wait, chat. What? No, not f***ing chat.
Yeah.
Sweet Jesus. This might need to be cut.
Yeah.
Apparently, here's another blue before you mash. Enjoy. Hi, beautiful. You are good. That turn me on. Oh yeah.